In today's video, we will answer the question, am I on track to retire at the right time? By walking through some of the key mistakes that delay your retirement and, more importantly, how you can avoid them. Every day, my company and I help retirees avoid the stress of retirement by timing the decision based on their financial picture and goals. If you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Julia, Certified Financial Planner and Managing Director at URS Advisory. It may feel like retirement will never happen because it can be incredibly daunting to make that transition. In this video, we will be breaking down all of the reasons others are retiring before you and how you can fix it. Last week, a dear client of mine called and said, I know how much I have saved for retirement, but what about other people my age? Well, thanks to a major study done by the Federal Reserve, every 3 years, it's called the Survey of Consumer Finances, we can see a financial snapshot of American households across many demographic and economic groups that details their asset ownership, debt burden, and more. So let's see if you're actually behind or not. The most recent installment of the study in 2022 shows American households reporting a median income of $70,200 and a median net worth of $192,700. The median refers to the middle value, or the 50th percentile. So this is better than using an average because there are ultra high net worth people that will skew that average, so the median is the way to go. And that means that half of surveyed households reported income above $70,200 and a net worth above $192,700, and half reported below. So to rank among the top 10%, or the 90th percentile, American households need to report a minimum income of $248,600 and a minimum net worth of $1.94 million. However, these figures are for adults of all ages. So if you're curious as to how you stack up, you need to benchmark your financial status against your specific age group. On my channel, most of you guys are between 55 and 64 years old, so I'm going to use those figures, and the minimum income needed to rank in the top 10% in this age bracket is $312,300 a year. Now let's look at net worth. As a refresher, net worth equals assets, which are liquid investable assets and hard assets, minus liabilities or debt. The most common financial assets reported by Americans in this study were bank accounts, retirement accounts, and brokerage accounts. The most common hard assets were vehicles and primary residences. In terms of debt, more than 3/4 of American households reported having it, and the average debt balance was $163,800. The minimum net worth to rank among the top 10% in this age bracket, right, 55 to 64, is $2.96 million. Now, you might be feeling proud of yourself if your numbers fall into the top 10% of folks in this bracket, as well you should. However, it's important to remember that the majority of people have retired successfully with much less than 2.96 million. In the financial industry, they've sort of conditioned us to be fixated on this net worth number. But the truth is, a successful retirement has way more to do with expenses and cash flow. So please do not be discouraged if your numbers are lower than the average. Besides, it's dangerous to compare yourself to others as no one has been in your exact same circumstances, not to mention that comparison in general can discourage you from making smart financial decisions. After working with retirees for over a decade, I know exactly what keeps them behind, and that's what keeps them from retiring successfully at a reasonable age. And it really comes down to 3 things. Number 1, postponing saving until later in your career. Number 2, not taking full advantage of employer benefits. And number 3, poor portfolio management. Listen, I get it. It can be really hard to save any money when you're working an entry-level job in your 20s or when you're married and raising a family in your 30s and 40s. However, it's usually not impossible, but instead pushed aside for more fun stuff or instant gratification. Unfortunately, the best time to start saving is when you're young. And this is because of compound interest. In its simplest form, compound interest is the interest you earn on both your initial investment and any accumulated interest. In other words, it's interest on interest. And it's what makes your money grow faster than you think. The longer you let it work its magic, the more powerful the effects become. So let's break it down using a real life example. Imagine you start by investing $1,000 in a retirement account with an annual interest rate of 8%. In the first year, you would earn $80 in interest or 8% on that $1,000. Now, in the second year, you actually earn 8%, but not just on your initial $1,000, but also on the $80 you earned in year 1. or $1,088.80. As this cycle continues, your money starts to snowball and the growth becomes exponential. I actually go over this in detail in my video, the magic of the 5 years before retirement. So check that out after this one. Let's say that Ben starts investing at age 21 and invests $2,400 every year or $200 a month. He invests in the S&P 500, which has an average annual return of 11% over the past 50 years. He stops contributing to the account at age 30. Therefore, his total contributions are $21,600. Joey starts investing 9 years later at age 30, and he also will invest $2,400 a year or $200 a month, except he's going to continue contributing until age 67 or 37 years. Therefore, his total contributions are $88,800, which is over $67,000 more than what Ben contributed. But at age 67, Ben will have $2.1 million saved, while Joey will only have $1.2 million saved. That 9-year start age difference is about $1 million difference overall, not to mention the additional contributions that Joey had to make. This illustration motivated me in my early 20s and has stuck with me ever since. Of course, saving is better late than never, right? But in my experience helping folks retire, the ones that struggle the most are those that didn't start saving until their 40s or 50s. So start early and invest often, even if it's just a couple $1,000s a year. Number 2, not taking full advantage of employee benefits. So let me ask you a question. If you saw $4,000 on the ground with your name on it, would you pick it up? It's a silly question, I know, but I need to ask. Reason being, we see so many people of all ages that are not taking full advantage of their employer-sponsored retirement plan, whether it's a 401k, 403b, SEP, or solo 401k. If you're making $100,000 a year and your employer will match you at that typical 4%, and you're not doing that, you're walking away from $4,000 every single year. So if you work for 35 years, that's a missed savings of $140,000. And we're not even including the compound interest that you would be earning if those funds were invested in your 401k. Equally as often, we see people that don't maximize their health insurance benefits. So for instance, I met with a friend of a friend last week, and they asked me to look over their employee benefits. I found that if she opts for the high deductible health plan, her employer will match her HSA contributions dollar for dollar up to the annual limit. So not only is she saving money on her health insurance premiums, she's getting $2,075 per year in free money just for contributing to an HSA, which she should be doing anyway. So over 10 years, that's nearly $25,000, not even including the compound interest, right? So the most successful clients we have are those who fully took advantage of their employee benefits. I encourage you to explore your options today to figure out if you're getting as much free money as you're eligible for. The third biggest reason why people find themselves behind the 8 ball for retirement is because of poor portfolio management, specifically because they were underinvested for many years. Earlier, I mentioned that the 50-year average return for the S&P 500 is roughly 11%. If you have not been participating in that compound interest, you've been losing money, thus making retirement that much harder. Many years ago, when I first started in retirement planning, I met with a woman who had an old 401k that she never really looked at. She got her statement in the mail and just kind of shoved it in a drawer. When I ended up looking at it, I saw that she was invested in ticker symbol VMRXX, which is the Vanguard Cash Reserves Federal Money Market Fund. When I saw that, I felt a little bit sick to my stomach. While it's paying good interest now, the average rate of return for this fund is less than 2% over the past 30 years. She had $100,000 saved, but it had barely earned any interest. Had she had these monies invested in the S&P 500 fund, she would have over $2.7 million. She was struggling in retirement. Imagine how different her life would have been had she just invested the money in a simple index fund. This is an incredibly powerful lesson that's best put to work early in your career. All of our most successful clients have been invested since the outset of their careers, and it's paid more than just dividends and their ability to enjoy life with financial security and be able to retire smoothly. So now you have a few key mistakes to avoid ahead of retirement so that you can make the most of your working years. However, there are details that we haven't been able to cover in this short video. If you would like a team of professionals to analyze your situation and understand how to time your retirement to meet your goals, click the link in the description. It will take you to a page where you can book a completely free consultation with us, where we can begin to help you build the retirement of your dreams.